The other day, I came across a very interesting video from Bernie Sanders, in which Bernie Sanders held a roundtable with a group of people where they sat down and talked about some of the real issues facing the American people. And there was one part of the video that really caught my attention.
Let's start it off with the question that Philip raised. Do you think young people should have to go deeply in debt in order to get an education?
And I definitely don't think students should have to go into debt.
I went to the University of Vermont because, quite frankly, they offered me the most money, probably because I'm not white and I can ski. Being a student that knew I was taking out loans to go to school, I didn't have the luxury of experimenting with the classes that maybe I wanted to dabble in. When I went off to graduate school, it was the same idea. I went where I got the most money, and I went to a one-year program. It's making it difficult for me to buy a home, for me to actually just bring my credit up. I'm still struggling to pay off the amount that I owe from graduate school, and also going back to school now to do my prereqs for medical school.
I was the first person in my family to go to college, and it was something that I wanted to do, and also felt like I had to do it to be able to help out my family in some way. And it's just been making it very difficult, and I don't think it was until this last year where I was actually trying to help my parents get a home, and I can't, right?
I'm a low-income student, I'm first generation, and they wouldn't take my Medicaid, so I had to buy the university insurance, which was probably like $1,000 or $2,000 per semester. And it's on my credit. I can't get a car, like things like that are all being affected because of student loans.
Right now, I have a child on the way, and that debt, trying to purchase my first home, that's all, it's an obstacle right now for me, a real life obstacle. So I'm dealing with that debt and credit scores and all of that to purchase my first home before my child gets here. I teach civics and career planning. And for my students to always mention, why should I go to school? I'm just gonna graduate with debt. So that's already clouding.
Is that very much on their minds?
They talk about it all the time because they hear it. They hear people talk about, I'm in debt. And they're like, I'm not going to school. I could get a job. I can make money right out of high school. So for college, for kids in my neighborhood, for them to think of college and immediately think of debt, that's a problem.
You know, we live in a country that says that you'll have all this opportunity, right? And we think of those opportunities as the opportunities to decide what our lives will look like. But we've heard every single story, debt is deciding, right? What we do, debt decided where you went to school, how long you went to school, if you went to school. And that's, that set of circumstances, when you're talking to a young person, it's not an illogical thing for them to say, I'm not going to school. It actually makes a whole lot of sense to say, I'm not going to pursue my education, because debt then decides my life from that point on.
I'll tell you a funny story. A couple of years ago, I was at a meeting in D.C. and I was speaking, and I said, in Finland, college education is free. And some guy jumps up, young guy jumps up, he says, Senator, you're wrong. It's not free. They pay us to go to school. All right. All right. So the point is that if you are a smart government, what do I want from you guys? I want you guys and every other person your age and younger to get the best education that you can, right? That's good for the country. That's good. What you're saying is we're looking now in a generation of young people who are saying, I can't afford, I'm not going to get an education. All right? Think about what that means to the country.
And I think about '08, when we had this huge economic crisis and you had all these huge corporations that went into debt, and people said, well, no, we need to save them. They're the backbone of our economy. And we bailed out huge corporations, and now we have a whole generation of students with student loan debt, students who are going to be the backbone of our economy. And it seems insane, like an insane idea to bail them out, to help them out.
Okay, so what, Danielle, is the conclusion? If the government could bail out Wall Street, what do you think it should do for your generation?
They should bail us out too.
I think so.
I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoyed watching this video to see real people talk about the issues that they and the American people in general face. It's just not something you get to see a lot in mainstream news, but it's very important that we do see it. We need to talk about these issues. Now, if you didn't already know, Bernie Sanders wants to abolish everybody's student loan debt, and he plans to do so by imposing a tax on Wall Street speculation. Sanders' logic is simple and makes a lot of sense. Back in 2008, the American people had to bail out Wall Street. And now Sanders thinks it's time for Wall Street to return the favor. Besides wiping out all student loan debt in this country, Bernie plans to utilize his proposed tax on Wall Street speculation in order to join the many countries around the world and make public colleges and universities tuition free. And we should join the many countries around the world and make public colleges and universities tuition free. Education should be a human right. We already guarantee education K through 12, and we should extend that guarantee into college. Again, education should be a human right, and not something people feel discouraged from pursuing due to the financial implications of going to college, because right now, student loan debt is one of the major issues facing this country, and it is a major issue. Unfortunately, a lot of Americans face substantial debt, all for the crime of deciding to pursue a higher education, and it isn't right. And neither is the fact that the American people were forced to bail out Wall Street. So, I think Bernie is right. It's time for Wall Street to pay the American people back, and abolishing student loan debt seems like a great place to start.